Hey, I think it's cool. Camera angle cool. All right, you know, you can see right here. All right, y'all. Hop right into the video. The dangerous rise of victimhood culture and how to escape it. All right, so this must be a conservative. Subscribe, turn post notifications. Let's get this conservative a piece of our minds. Like, I don't know. It might be good. He might be saying some real shit. But we're gonna go out of the way though. Let me see. Hold on, wait. This up. All right, let's go.
I feel like this is gonna ruffle some feathers and kind of get me
ruffle some feathers?
Ruffle some feathers.
Don't worry about it. You gotta tell the truth. Jesus ruffle feathers all the time.
I wanted to agree with you. It was a conversation you were having with the other dude. I feel like as black people, we do victimize ourselves a lot. I see it in our community, and I used to be one of those black people who were like, you know, I really like almost had this hatred for white people because that's what all they were showing me.
Is it victimizing or is it expressing our pain? I always be wanting to know when people say that shit. Is it victimizing or is it expressing our pain? It could be. It could be both. It could definitely be both.
Until I actually went out and I started to go places and I started to see, interacting with, you know, white people, and I was seeing how not every white person was bad. And it was shocking me how they were so nice. And so, you know, basically, I just wanted to say, slavery, that is a very sensitive topic. However, my personal opinion is that we're in 2024, and it's a new time. And I'm not saying forget about it, but I just feel like we as black people shouldn't just sit around and mope about it all the
They don't tell this to the Jews. They don't tell this to any other culture on the planet that's experienced some type of hardship in their history. We're the only ones they tell to shut up and get over it. No. No, don't shut up and get over it. No, you need to remember what happened so it could never repeat itself again. We have to remember the history. I hate these conversations when they deflect from that point. I really do.
Every time I get on another social media platform, all they talk about is slavery. And I understand that is very important. It's a very sensitive topic. And I don't want to be desensitive to it, like insensitive to it. But, you know, I understand it. You know, however, I just feel like it's more to us as a black community.
Yes.
Like in schools, all they teach us is all we are known as are the people who are oppressed. I feel like we are a very creative people. We are very fun. You know, we play a very...
And that ties into why we need to understand it, right? What you're saying right now. Why we only learn about the oppressed side of our people from the whites. They only talk about as far back as we were slaves. They don't tell the history. They don't tell the complete history. That Africa had nations in it. There was science going on in Africa. They don't talk about all those things. You learn those later on. No, we learned about George Washington. We learned about slaveholders. We learned about all these people like that. You have a preconceived notion of white people based on what white people have already told you. You just got more of a vast knowledge from the black people around you, from their experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not saying all white people are bad, because not all white people are bad. But no, we're not going to forget the past. And it's not victimhood to remember the past and bring up the past when the conversation calls for it. It's not. Point blank period. Damn, I feel like comfortable.
Key role in the making of America today, in society today. And I just feel like we are more than just slavery. We are more than just the people who were killed. We are more than just a people who were once illiterate. And, you know, a lot of people can argue about, you know, black rights, but I definitely feel like it went downhill once we decided to dwell in civil rights. Because I feel like they only do what, in some sense, to an extent, they can only do what we allow. How we had schools, but we chose to mope around and, you know, cry about them not letting us into their schools. It's like, we have to make it like you said, we have to use the cards that we have and play the cards that we dealt. Like,
first things first, you know what's interesting, right? And this is something that white people complain about. White people complain about HBCUs. They say, why do we have a historical black college? We have a historical black college because whites wouldn't let us into their colleges, right? Now the argument back is like the argument just gets more. This is why it keeps coming up. It gets more and more stupid depending on person you're talking to, right? So if you're talking to some people, they'll say we shouldn't have historical black colleges, we shouldn't have black dorms, we shouldn't have anything like that because that's a form of segregation. Even though there's nowhere in this country that can discriminate. Well, now that's removed because of Trump. But there was nowhere in this country that you could discriminate prior to that. So all those things were student ran, student owned, and literally anybody was invited. You could come if you wanted to. It's just you'd be surrounded by black people or LGBTQ members or whatever, like whatever the function was. Now you have people literally going like, well, we should have built those things. That's what she's saying. We should have built those things. We shouldn't be crying about white people. We should build them ourselves. So what? They can complain about it after we build it? I'm so confused. I'm so confused, man. My chest is killing me for some reason. I don't know why, y'all, but I'm so confused. I'm extremely confused.
I just feel like constantly staying stuck in this victim mindset that every white person is out to get us. I just feel like it's...
Those of you that live in Cincinnati, don't skip this YouTube ad for at least 30 seconds.
Boom.
It's very...
Yeah, we agree. We agree. It's interesting because I would imagine that every single person standing here would agree with you, right? I mean, I don't know how trying to get black people exposure as being greater than just this victim mentality, how is that bad? You know, It's
bad when you ignore things. It's bad when you ignore things. When you ignore specific details that literally fit into what our culture is. We have to talk about slavery. There's a reason we eat chitlins. There's a reason like we have the music that we have. There's a reason a lot of us are in the South. There's a reason some of us migrated up to the North and get the jobs in the North. There's a reason the police treat us the way they treat us. There's a reason why we have this adversity with white people. It didn't just pop out of thin air. That's the part I'm trying to say. To act like we can't talk about it. Now, do we have to dwell on it forever? Yep, we do. But do we have to dwell on it in a sense of making it where like we can't go out and do anything for ourselves? No, nobody should be saying that. Everybody should go out and do whatever you can. But to know that there's a problem out there, there's nothing wrong with knowing that. Just like there's nothing wrong with knowing that. He's trying to make it seem like what's wrong with telling everybody to, build yourself up. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just it seems almost insensitive to what happened to us. That's what it feels like.
We know about the martyrs.
Yeah.
But we don't know about the successful black people that have done so many great things in America. Like the automatic transmission in a motor vehicle today, a black man made it. The stoplight, a black man.
Yeah.
Black people have invented so many things. We don't know who invented what. But we know who the last one that got killed by a police officer.
Right.
George Floyd got so much coverage, which I think what happened to him was wrong.
Right.
But my God, they made a statue out of the guy.
Oh my
But they won't even talk about Ben Carson. Most people don't even know who Ben Carson. I mean, I won't say most. I hope that most people know.
I don't even know who that is.
Raise your hand if you know who Ben Carson is. Oh my God, that's insane. You guys don't know who Ben Carson is right here?
He's a doctor.
Y'all know who Ben Carson is?
He's a doctor. I'm not trying to say he is a very impressive doctor. He did some very impressive things. I think he unconjoined twins or something like that. I think that was something that he did. One of the big things that he did. I think. I'm not sure 100%, but I know of Ben Carson. He also ran for president. Take all that into consideration. Hold on, wait. Hold on. Take all that into consideration. Never mind, let's keep going.
He ran for president. He is one of the greatest black men to ever live.
I'm just gonna sit in silence on this part of the reaction. The greatest black men to ever live? Mansa Musa, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Nelson Mandela, even Idi Amin. Him is one of the greatest black men to ever live? Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
And it's crazy that we know George Floyd, but we don't know Ben Carson.
Yeah.
Ben Carson, a neurosurgeon, he's the first person in world history to separate conjoined twins at the head. Nobody in the world has ever done that. Ben Carson was the first. He's one of the greatest men that lived. He's brilliant. He was poor. His mama couldn't read. That guy had an incredible story, and we should know him more than we know these other people.
Yeah. And
The reason why we know George Floyd is because something happened to George Floyd that has been echoing across the generations for blacks for centuries. And that is why we know who George Floyd is. Something happened to George Floyd that's been echoing across the generations for centuries. And they put the statue up not because it's not fully as, because celebration is weird to say. A martyr is somebody dying, willfully dying. They didn't martyrize him. He didn't willfully die. He died in the process of a corrupt cop. Something that we've been saying has been going on for decades, and it happened on camera in front of everybody. And you know, really something interesting about George Floyd? Go back before black people started protesting, right? Before everybody started protesting and everything. There was a couple of us that were literally like, oh, another one, this happens again. Now they're going to figure out, they're going to dig into his past and find everything. And for a split second there, America was united together for a second. Everybody saw the wrong. So Candace Owens and people like him came out and tried to say, oh, he might have had fentanyl in the system. He might have been, he did something to his pregnant wife. Everybody came forward and debunked these stories hundreds of times. But the conversation of George Floyd happened for a reason. It's a century-long conversation that we've been having. How are we treated by the people who are supposed to enforce law on us? So, okay. We should know about Ben Carson as well. But there's a reason we know about George Floyd more. It's something that's been, I've already said it twice. I'm not going to say it again.
And I feel like...
He does, so you know who he is. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I just feel like, you know, as a society, we should magnify black success more than we talk about black oppression. And, you know, I feel like we as a people, I feel like there's a spiritual warfare on a human race, not just black people, because we're not the only people in time who's ever been oppressed. Like, there's other races that has been through things too. It's just that we magnify ours more and we, you know, kind of dwell in that a little more. You know, I just feel like, all in all...
You have a question there? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I really just want to say something because I just feel like it's kind of crazy to, you know, I just feel like division is stupid.
Right, and let me tell you this.
I think she's beautiful, and I think she has a great mind. I do. I really do. I'm just going to say that and let him go.
When people say, is America racist? I don't think systemically America is racist.
Ooh. Why not?
I think that there's people that are unsuspected actors that are racist against black people, and they are our friends, our allies.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. If you loved black people, what would politicians do? Not give you a handout. They'll go down and look at that school and say, why is this school failing?
Yeah.
Let's get people an adequate education so they can perform. And they don't want to do that. They want you to be ignorant. They want you to have poor schools. They want crime to be rampant in your community. They put abortion clinics on every corner. They got a liquor store on every corner. They put drugs in the community because they know people are going to sell it to each other. All of this. And what do? We call them our allies.
And they just...
Let me say this.
I'm confused. I know he's trying to refer to the Democratic Party, but everything he said was something done systemically. He doesn't believe in systemic racism, but everything literally he just said was something systemically done. That's why these conversations seem weird to me. I get where he's trying to go with it, and I respect it. Like where it's like you're trying to get to where, okay, let's talk amongst each other where it's not hate. And trust me, like with white people, this conversation is just this conversation, but everything he just said was systemic. So you don't believe that systemically racism exists, but yet name off things that are systemically done, and then say we are cool with that and calling that person our ally, which you're referring to the Democratic Party. The Republican Party did it as well. The crime bill, stop it. Republicans and Democrats voted on the crime bill. Mass incarceration, but Republicans and Democrats voted on all those things that happened. 1970s, all these things that were able to get through social justice programs, all these welfare programs you guys talk about that benefit whites more than they benefit blacks, they were passed by both Republicans and Democrats. So, let's stop acting like one party is greater than the other, man. I'm tired of that bullshit. I really am, man.
One thing, if a person tells you that that white supremacy or white privilege is a thing, that person's lying to you.
Yeah.
they hate you, and they want you to always feel inferior to white people.
Yeah.
There is nothing. Hold on, wait a minute. But be respectful to the young lady here. If you got a question, you can go next. Okay, just be respectful to the young lady. So, if they really was honest, they would encourage young black people to feel and believe that they're just as good as anybody else.
Right.
Not tell.
I wonder what he thinks right now with everything that's been rolled back on. Segregation laws, the Department of Education, where it helped with a lot of criminal justice lawsuits, DEI, affirmative action. DEI is not specifically for black people. It's for diversity, equity, inclusion programs. So it's for pretty much everybody that's diverse. So the other 50% of America that's not white. What does he think now? Trump has rolled back on every single thing that has benefited black people. You blame the Democratic Party, but everything that was anything to benefit black people in any way, shape, or form, he has rolled back on at this point. I just wonder what your opinion is at this point. Like, do you still think it's just the Democratic Party now? I don't know. This is just weird. It's weird. Like, nothing systemically racist, but yet he rolls back on segregation laws. Why would you do that? Why would you roll back on segregation laws? I don't know. It's just weird. This is weird. This is a weird time. Like, and it's really a bunch of gaslighting going on with almost everybody around us.
Tell you that some white person somewhere is better than you.
Yeah.
I mean, white people poor too.
Yeah.
And you guys who are at this university, especially speaking of black people, what a white person on campus can do that you can't do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell y'all a statistic I just learned. White people are more in poverty than black people, right? I think it's like, out of 13% of the population, out of all poverty, I think 22% is black. It's a really high percentage. And 44% is white. It's like 45% is white. However, though, 45% of white people get 69% of the benefits from poverty-stricken programs, like programs that are for poverty-stricken families and things like that. They get 69% of the benefits. Black people, I think, only get 20. It's like 20 or somewhere like 20 between 2015, that area. Y'all do the math. Y'all tell me what y'all think if that ain't systemic.
Go to the same classes. You have the same teachers. You have the same books.
Same
you have the same 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And many black people at this university, hopefully I'm talking to a few of them, that you will make straight A's at this school. And you will have a great education. And you will pick a major that's going to be a great investment for your future. And you're going to go on in this country and you're going to dominate.
Right.
You're going to be great. You're going to raise a family. You're going to do all those things because nobody can stop you.
Yeah.
That should be the message.
I agree.
But instead, that's not the message.
Yes, I agree with that. Just one thing, I do feel like because we're black, we do have a little more, we have a lot more challenges.
Facts.
Than, but I do feel like we all do have the same opportunities like as white people. But I feel like, well, times are very different now. I mean, I feel like a lot of black people are speaking from a more like,
Yeah,
they're speaking from a past, and it's like America has changed a lot today.
Right.
In some ways, I feel like that's not.
Nah, beautiful. You saying it perfectly fine. It is more complicated. It is complicated. It is more complicated to be black than it is to be white. Why is that so wrong to say too? Why is that so wrong to acknowledge? Every statistic, every social statistic, everything in sociology points towards that. I just don't understand why we ignore the science of human communication right now. Sociology can definitely change depending on how societies change. Like, we have changed a lot from the 1960s until now. In 1960, we could have never had a black president. In 2008, we had one. Yes. But that doesn't take away from all the other stuff that's going on that's making it more complicated to do anything. Why do you have to pass a law to say you cannot judge and discriminate on people's hair in the workplace? Come on, man. Stop, man. I don't know.
But I do feel like in some areas, in some instances, black people do have a little more obstacles.
And
than
I agree with you. And everybody has obstacles.
Yeah.
Oh.
We can't feel like we're just uniquely
Right.
situated where we just have more issues than anybody else. Man, everybody got problems.
Yeah.
When I was a cop and I patrolled the poor,
Oh, no wonder.
they had the same issues that I remember growing up and experiencing. Just the only difference was they didn't have gangs.
Yeah.
There wasn't no gangs, but poor, ain't got no daddy, ain't got nothing to eat, on food stamps, terrible schools, getting judged at the stores. I mean, you get a guy coming in with sores on him, scratching his neck, man, the store owner like, this is a crackhead, it's a meth head. And they get discriminated against too in some cases. You know, one thing that I think that people should be talking about is classism. Racism is less of an issue in America than classism. If you are Tariq Hill, you can drive I don't know how many miles per hour and play the victims. Tariq Hill's rich. He can pay a ticket like it's nothing. You know, if you P Diddy. Speaking of P Diddy, how does this man go this long doing all that dirt? And all of a sudden he get caught, I don't know how many decades later. I mean, when you got money, you in a different level. I don't care what color you are.
Right.
You can afford a lawyer. So if you poor, white, black, or different, you get in trouble with the law, you get a public defender. And that same public defender suck for a black person and white person the same. I'm not saying all of them suck, but they're not equipped like if you had to pay for a person to defend you. That's a poor thing. Rich people get away with doing stuff all the time. They get away with these white collar crimes and all that stuff because they got the money to deal with it. Want to know?
First of all, neither Diddy nor Cosby or anybody that you know about actually got away with it. His house actually got raided, unlike any other. Didn't Harvey Weinstein, that didn't happen to. The guy that owned the island, that didn't happen to. He got raided. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, first things first. Secondly, like, he was charged with RICO by himself. That's what Diddy was charged with. Not saying Diddy is wrong. Not saying Diddy is right. I'm not saying Diddy is right. I don't know the full of the case. I definitely think Diddy is wrong and deserves to be in prison. But you have it a lot harder as a black person in this country. Every statistic, every bit of data points towards that. And it drives me insane when I get these people that try to act like it's not. Because they've experienced adversity, whether they want to admit it or not. But it don't matter. Anyways, I'm out, y'all. Peace.